I'm Liz Schrum of the Wisconsin Technology Council, here with WisBusiness.com, the show, brought to you by Grant Thornton, Whitehurst Dudek, Madison Gas and Electric, and the University of Wisconsin at Milwaukee. On today's show, Tom Still, in his commentary, says Wisconsin can learn from Israel when it comes to building and financing young companies. And serial entrepreneur Greg Meier talks about the Talent Lab, a new type of business incubator in Wisconsin. I'll be right back with the WisBusiness.com stock report for late April 2011.
When someone you count on anticipates your needs, your job becomes a whole lot easier. Grant Thornton clients get advice and recommendations from partners in the U.S. and through member firms worldwide. Grant Thornton.
And now, here's the WisBusiness.com stock report for late April 2011. Rising jobs picture. With 15,000 private jobs produced in the first 3 months of 2011, Wisconsin is on track to produce 250,000 jobs in 4 years. That's the announced goal of Governor Scott Walker. Also, the state jobless rate remains lower than the U.S. average, and the unemployment rate fell in Wisconsin's top 12 metro areas last month. And falling, UW-Madison split. A growing chorus of Republican lawmakers appears hesitant about granting public authority status to the state's flagship university in the state budget, as Governor Scott Walker and UW Chancellor Biddy Martin want. Insiders note that the co-chair of the powerful Joint Finance Committee says that while some flexibility for UW-Madison will be included in the budget, a complete split from the UW system is too much for lawmakers to digest in one budget cycle. There's also friction between the UW system and UW-Madison, adding more tension to the proposal. That's the WisBusiness.com stock report. Go to WisBusiness.com for more on these and other stories. And now, here's Tom Still in his Inside Wisconsin commentary.
It's slightly smaller in size than New Jersey and slightly larger in population than Wisconsin. But the nation of Israel plays big on the international stage when it comes to entrepreneurism and tech-based economic growth. What can Wisconsin learn from the Israeli experience? That was the message Israeli entrepreneur Uzi Dahan brought to Wisconsin this month. Speaking to groups in Milwaukee and Madison, Dahan described how Israel evolved from a closed, almost socialist economy to a dynamic startup nation, which is the name of a best-selling book about Israel's economic miracle. It wasn't easy, and it certainly didn't happen overnight, but Israel went from being a society that frowned upon economic innovation to being a nation that produces startup companies by the thousands. Being surrounded by potential enemies can be a powerful motivator, of course. That was the case after the 1967 Arab-Israeli War forced the young nation to become more self-sufficient. But what began as a matter of national defense quickly evolved into a comprehensive approach to starting new companies. Dahan, an engineering professor and entrepreneur, says a modern innovation economy needs 5 forms of capital to flourish: knowledge, social, human, entrepreneurial, and financial. Let's see how Wisconsin stacks up. Knowledge capital is defined as cutting-edge technology across a mix of spectrums, from biotechnology to information technology to industrial systems. Wisconsin has an edge in that kind of know-how. Human capital means well-trained people, often with a background in science, engineering, or math, or with the business skills necessary to make a tech-based business successful. In most ways, Wisconsin has what it takes. Social capital is another way of describing networking. No, not just hanging around the next high-tech happy hour in hopes of a chance meeting, but the kind of purposeful networking that connects entrepreneurs, investors, and business people. That ecosystem has expanded over the past 10 years. Entrepreneurial capital means a critical mass of risk takers who start multiple companies and who create opportunity around them. Wisconsin may not be Silicon Valley, but its entrepreneurial culture is improving steadily. Financial capital is where Wisconsin falls short. In the first quarter of 2011, when a handful of Wisconsin companies raised $6.7 million in venture capital, 140 Israeli companies attracted $473 million from foreign and domestic investors. In fact, venture capital investments in Israel have not dipped below $234 million in any quarter over the past 2 years. Venture capital investments in Wisconsin totaled $121 million in all of 2010, and that was the second best year on record. Israel is a startup nation because it has found a way to build all types of capital, from human to social. Wisconsin has most of the ingredients for success, but it can learn from other nations and states when it comes to priming the pump for venture capital.
Thanks, Tom. I'll be right back with Milwaukee entrepreneur Greg Meier.
White Hirschbeck Dudek represents companies at all stages of development and in a wide range of industries to navigate the legal challenges of regional, national, and global growth. At WHD, every stage takes center stage.
I'm back with Greg Meier, one of the founders of the Talent Lab. Thanks for joining us, Greg.
Thanks, Liz.
What is the Talent Lab and how does it work?
The Talent Lab is a place where we experiment with business models, innovative business models in the field of software. How it works, it's a 12-week process where companies have 4 key deliverables: working software, hopefully customers that are paying for it so we can start to validate the revenue models. They also have to deliver or work on a process for scaling the business, and then a presentation for investors.
Now, has this kind of approach worked in other states?
It's been very successful. There's 2 well-known success stories. One's called Y Combinator, and the other is Techstars, which has expanded out to multiple states. One thing that came out of some Kaufman research last year is that if you want to be competitive as a state, you need to have this kind of model in place.
In 5 years from now, how will you know if the Talent Lab has been a success?
One of our primary goals is that ultimately the students in our colleges and universities in this state view entrepreneurship as a pathway that they can pursue after graduation as an alternative to going to work for another company or business, and that entrepreneurship be potentially a primary opportunity for those with ideas, especially in the field of software where we focus.
Thanks, Greg. And thank you for watching this edition of WisBusiness.com, The Show. The show is produced by WisBusiness.com and the Wisconsin Technology Council and sponsored by Grant Thornton, White Hirschbeck Dudek, MG&E, and UW Milwaukee. Visit our websites to read and learn more. I'm Liz Schrum. See you next time.